It is time to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I know before y'all commented, talking about anything Cleveland sports related is pretty insane. But this is not the Browns we're talking about. This is not the Guardians we're talking about. We're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And they're actually pretty good this year. And they were pretty good last year as well. But really no one even talked about them. But in this video, I'm getting to why I think it is time to start talking about them and putting them in the same conversation as we put a lot of teams in the contending level category. So I'm going to be giving a few reasons why I think personally this team needs to be talked about way more than they're actually talked about, and why I think they're actually a contending level team. When you think about like the traditional contending teams in the NBA, you think of teams like the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Nets, Philly, Phoenix, Denver, teams like that. Very rarely, really if ever, do you think about Cleveland, because, well, they're Cleveland. But for the past 2 years, they've been building a very, very good roster, and that roster has changed a little bit from last year to this year, but it was for the better, as due to that change, they were able to form one of the best backcourts and also one of the best front courts in the entire NBA, and I don't think that's even that debatable, because in their backcourt, they have Darius Garland, an all-star level point guard who is very, very good, and then Donovan Mitchell at shooting guard, who's one of the best scorers in the NBA. He just dropped 71 damn points. It's one of the most points scored of all time in a basketball game ever. And no, it is not just because teams don't play defense. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Scoring 71 is almost impossible in any game. No matter what, it's still an insane feat. And that backcourt is undoubtedly a top 3 backcourt in the entire NBA, hands down. And in my opinion, there is a very real argument that you could say that they are also the best backcourt in the NBA. The only reason I'm not saying they're the best and they're probably the second best is because although Steph and Clay haven't been great this year, they're still Steph and Clay, okay? You have to do something to take over that spot. But as of right now, I have them at 2, and you can definitely make real arguments to say they are for sure the best backcourt in the entire NBA. And then even if you look at their front court, they're once again at a top 3 front court with guys like Jarrett Allen at center and then Evan Mobley at power forward. Evan Mobley will probably be an all-star in about a year or two. He's very good. He can shot block. He can score. He can do pretty much anything you want him to do. And then Jarrett Allen is probably one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA. He is a freak athlete shot blocker who can give you a double-double any night. He can protect your rim. He's agile enough to get on the perimeter every once in a while. So he is a very, very underrated player, and both of their bigs are so versatile and can switch onto so many positions, it makes them one of the best front courts in the entire NBA, and in my opinion, they are a top 3 front court as well. And there's not another team in the entire NBA that can say they have both a top 2 backcourt and a top 3 front court in the entire NBA. There's just no other team that even come close to having the talent they have in their starting guards and big positions. Really, the only weakness in their entire roster is their wing position, who I'm pretty sure is currently Isaac Okoro, and even Isaac Okoro is a very respectable defender, and he is very solid as well. Now, although he can't score at all, he is a very, very solid defender for them on their wing, and they really don't need him to score because that's what they have Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley for. So really, they don't need Isaac Okoro to score that much. It's about 5-10 points a game, and they'll be fine. And then also, what that just combination of an extremely good front court and backcourt do, it makes them have one of the biggest hallmarks of any championship contending team in the NBA, which is a great two-way team. Most teams that win the NBA Finals, and really since the 2004 Detroit Pistons, have been at least top 15 in both defensive and offensive efficiency, because you have to be able to play both sides of the ball to win at the highest level. And that is exactly what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing, as they are currently ranked the number 2 defense in the entire NBA, and they have been just locking people up. And then they're also ranked a top 10 offense as well in the entire NBA, meaning they can almost score with anyone in the NBA, and they can lock up really anyone in the entire NBA. And when you're top 10 and top 2 in both offense and defense, you are going to be extremely hard to beat on every single night and on a nightly basis. And with them being that good on offense and defense, I really do think it's time to start putting them in the talks with these other contending level teams, especially if there's no injuries involved. Because I mean, outside of like the Celtics, the Nets, maybe how they've been playing, the Bucks, and that's about it. Those are the only 3 teams you can even really make an argument that their roster is that much better than what the Cleveland Cavaliers have. And even with that, I could easily see Cleveland coming out and winning games and maybe even winning a series against any of those 3 teams that I just mentioned as well. And really the only argument you can make against the Cleveland Cavaliers is that they don't have a bona fide superstar, like a top 10, top 15 player in the entire NBA like most contenders do. They don't have a Giannis, they don't have a Jokic, they don't have a Steph Curry, they don't have a player like that. But Donovan Mitchell is getting to that point to where you can definitely say he is one of the best, if not the best shooting guard in the entire NBA. And at that point, you probably at least have to be considered somewhat of a superstar if you're the best at your position. Darius Garland, like I said earlier, is an all-star level point guard. He's already made an all-star game before. Jared Allen, he's been in all-star weekend before, and he is very, very solid at what he does. And he is a top 15 center, maybe even top 10 center for sure. And then Evan Mobley has such a high ceiling, there's no telling if he's going to be a superstar one day as well. So I do think with the ceiling this team has and the potential it has, if it doesn't win it this year, I think they're going to be in that contending level for years and years to come. And then just one more reason I want to get into is that they have a very, very deep team, meaning that this team is off their bench is very, very solid. As last year, they had one of the Sixth Man of the Year finalists in Kevin Love, who's been embracing his role as the sixth man for this team. He kind of is a perfect fit because they love versatile big men that can stretch the floor, and that's exactly what Kevin Love can do. Now, although he's not going to be good on defense or anything, he is still a very, very good offensive big to come off your bench, and not many teams have a versatile big like Love that they can call on when they need them to really perfectly replace any of the big men you have. And then they also have Karis LeVert, who's one of the better offensive players off of anyone's bench that you can have. He's very, very solid, and he would be starting on a lot of teams as well. And then also Cedi Osman. Cedi Osman is one of the more underrated players since he's really entered the NBA. He's just gotten better and better, and he's just also very, very solid as well. And then probably one guy that's going to be huge for them when they get back, Ricky Rubio is supposed to come back at some point this season, and I do think Ricky Rubio, if he can get back in his rhythm and get fully healthy and things like that, he could be a huge, huge contributor to helping them win games, because Rubio knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. He's a veteran, he's going to provide leadership, and him and Kevin Love leading that team while the young stars really help them win the games will be absolutely huge in my opinion if they are able to get Rubio back. So really, with all these reasons combined, we finally have a reason to actually be optimistic about the Cleveland Cavaliers, or really anything in the Cleveland area since a very, very long time ago, probably since LeBron has been there, honestly. And now look, I'm not even a Cavaliers fan, I'm a Pelicans fan. I just like to see these young teams, kind of underdog, younger market, smaller market teams really start to strive and have a chance to win championships, and that's what I love to see, and that's why I want to see the Cleveland Cavaliers actually be able to contend at the highest level with all these big dog and other big markets. But unfortunately, guys, that's my first video, so comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that Cleveland Cavaliers should be talked about more? Do you think they're a contender? Do you think they can win the finals? I want to hear our thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like the video, point to the like button, subscribe button, it means the absolute word to me, and I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. So you have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.